All right, let's talk about a tool that, if you're in the Kubernetes world, you definitely have strong feelings about: Helm. It's one of those things that people either absolutely love or really, really love to complain about. So today we're going to unpack that whole love-hate relationship.
You know the moment. You're deep in a project, your Kubernetes config files, all that YAML is just sprawling out of control. You've got different versions for dev, for staging, for prod, and then someone on your team just casually says, "Oh, you should just use Helm." Like it's the simplest, most obvious thing in the world. The silver bullet.
Hey, that's because the promise of Helm is incredibly attractive. It's all about bringing some much-needed order to all that chaos.
And this really lays it out perfectly. On the left, that's the before picture, just mountains and mountains of raw config files. It gets messy, it's a pain to manage, and it's super easy to make a mistake. But on the right, that's the dream Helm is selling. Clean, organized deployments, reusable packages they call charts, and releases you can actually version and roll back. I mean, what's not to love? It sounds perfect.
And you know what? For a while, it really feels that way. It is a huge improvement. But then, the story always takes a little twist. This is the moment when the honeymoon phase ends, and it's usually not some big dramatic explosion. It's more of a slow burn, a series of small nagging frustrations that start to pop up when you're operating at scale, when the pressure is on.
Okay, so this is the absolute key to understanding the whole debate. Helm doesn't actually remove complexity, it abstracts it, and that is a world of difference. It doesn't make the complicated parts disappear, it just shuffles them around, hiding them under a new layer. A layer that comes with its own set of brand new rules and its own hidden traps. So what does this reorganized complexity actually look like when you're trying to get work done? Let's get into it.
So you thought you were solving your YAML problem, right? Well, here's the paradox. Helm often just gives you more files to worry about. Instead of one straightforward manifest file you can just read, now you're juggling a whole system of things. Go templates, different values files, command line overrides, and a bunch of conditional logic. It's a whole different ballgame.
And this table really shows you how the game changes. Before Helm, your source of truth was the manifest itself. What you saw was what you got. Simple. With Helm, the truth is now spread out across templates and values. So when things break, and they will, your job is totally different. You're not debugging the broken output anymore. No, you're hunting for a bug in the logic that generated the broken output. And trust me, that is a much, much harder problem to solve.
This is what it all boils down to. You start to feel like you're not just managing your application anymore. You're now spending time building systems for your system. You're adding linters and language servers just to manage your Helm charts correctly. You've basically become a sysadmin for your own deployment tools.
Now, if there is one place where all this frustration comes to a boiling point, it's right here. This quote comes straight from a developer in the trenches, and it points to what is probably the single biggest headache for Helm users everywhere: custom resource definitions, or CRDs.
So what's the deal with CRDs? Well, for one, they just don't play by the same rules as everything else in Kubernetes. Helm's way of managing them feels clunky. Trying to upgrade a CRD can be a complete nightmare. So what do teams end up doing? They start creating these weird workarounds, like pulling the CRDs out of their charts and installing them separately. It just feels like a hack.
So you can start to see why the feelings about Helm are so intense. It's not a simple it's good or it's bad. It's way more complicated than that.
This pretty much sums it up. On the one hand, you've got the love. Helm solves very real problems, it's the industry standard, and it provides a structure that we desperately need. But then there's the other side. The templating can turn into a spaghetti mess, debugging can make you pull your hair out, and yeah, those CRDs are a huge pain. And the tricky part is, both of these columns are 100% true.
So while Helm is often sold as the golden path, the one true way to do things, the reality on the ground is that a lot of really smart teams are choosing to go off-road. They'll use GitOps tools like Argo or Flux, but instead of checking in the Helm chart, they'll render out the final YAML and check that in. It's a way of getting the benefits of templating without the runtime headaches.
And all of this divergence, all of these workarounds, it naturally leads to the big question that people are starting to ask more and more. If Helm isn't the final answer, then what is?
And we're already seeing some fascinating experiments out there. You've got things like operators, which try to build operational knowledge right into your cluster. You see people trying to build even higher-level abstractions on top of everything. Some are going full-on programmatic, just using Go to talk directly to the Kubernetes APIs. And you even see a movement to go back to simpler tools. But let's be real. Despite all these cool new ideas, nothing has come close to replacing Helm yet. For now, it's still the default. Not because it's perfect, everyone knows it's not, but because it's the standard. It's the devil we know, and it's the best option that we've all, more or less, agreed to use.
And that really brings us to the core lesson of this whole story. Abstraction is never free. It always has a cost. Every tool out there that promises to make your life simpler is really just making a trade. It's offering to swap one kind of complexity for a different kind of complexity. Which means that arguing about whether Helm is good or bad is kind of missing the point. That's the wrong question. The only question that really matters is this. Is the specific trade-off that Helm offers the right one for your team and your project? Is its kind of complexity a better fit for you than the mess you have right now? That's the only thing you have to figure out.